Hey guys, welcome back to Ox Tools. I'm Tom. So it's been a while since we did a viewer appreciation video. I've had quite a few packages show up over the last few weeks, and I've just kind of been saving them up for a video. And so I need my workbench back, so we should go over and take a look at some really neat stuff. And I just want to thank you all out there, all the folks that take the time to pack something up and mail it to me. I do appreciate it. And there's some really generous folks out there, and I just want to acknowledge you guys. So let's go look at some interesting tools. I've pulled out the kind of the interesting bits. You know, I'm not going to show you every single drill bit, but I pulled out the more interesting bits and pieces out of this lot of stuff. So let's go check it out. Okay, this lot comes to us from our friends down at Ordnance Unlimited, and they're a kind of a military government surplus outfit in Southern California. So you know, a lot of these things are leftover packaged government surplus spare parts and stuff, and you know, there's people that buy these lots of tools and components. They sent me a huge box of stuff, and thank you guys, I really appreciate it. That's kind of neat stuff in there. I did filter it down to some of the more interesting bits. Otherwise, we would have taken forever just to kind of go through it. And some of it's, you know, like nylon ties and electrical connectors and things like that. So I kind of condensed it down to the interesting stuff here that was worth talking about because it's neat. So let's just kind of work our way through it. There's the hockey puck with their name on it, and it's kind of cool. So keep your puck on the ice, right, or whatever. These are little Schrader valves. These are pretty cool. You know, for filling tires. These are neat because they have a 1/8 pipe thread on one side. So what that means is you can create a well, you can use these to pressurize a vessel or something like that. So anyway, sent me a little handful of those. These were like totally wrapped up. They were wrapped in foam, and then with filament tape, and then and they had a label put in with them. And then those were in a foil or a paper foil-lined military envelope. Yeah, it was the packaging was nutty on this stuff. So anyway, those are pretty cool. Make use of those. This little guy is kind of neat because, well, I was intrigued by it, and basically it's a sealed feed-through. Okay, so this would go through the wall of a vessel here. Okay, it's got a pipe thread on this side, and even pre-applied Teflon tape to it there, and it's a linear actuator. Okay, it can also rotate too. So you know, maybe it goes through a fuel tank, or yeah, who knows, right, what its application was for. But it's got a series of seals inside here, and then you could put a pull handle on that. You know, it's really silly, but what intrigued me was this little joint on the end here. And if any of you have ever had to create so this does a couple of things. So it can push and pull, right? Okay. And it also locks for rotation, but it has complete kind of wiggle freedom, which you might need on whatever happened to be on the other side of this. So if you needed a little angular compliance on the inside of a vessel or something like that for a mechanism or whatever, so maybe it's a flap valve inside a tank or something like that, who knows, and it needs just a little bit of wiggle here, right? That's you know, a simple way of doing that. So you know, and I've talked about this before, be a student of design, right? And you look at that and you go, you know, your first look, you go, okay, big deal, right? But you know, when you see things like this, look at them, and you know, I say put it on your hard drive or in your memory bank, right? You never know when you might need that, and it's a very, you know, it's just a cross pin. It's very simple, and simple is good, right? You know, sure, you could do this with a complicated linkage or whatever, but why, right? So store those things away in your head. So that's kind of cool. Like we talked about that enough. Okay, so these, I'm going to send these to Brad Jacobs to go with his vise. These are fingernail files to go with his pink vise. So those will probably go in the mail to Mr. Brad Jacobs, basement shop guy. Oh yeah, I'm trying out these links, these on-screen links. So here's a link to Brad's channel, so go check him out. Brad's a cool cat. Does very nice work, machine restorations, things like that. And he's got a really cool pink Wilton vise to go with these files, so check him out. Okay, this guy. It's a little battery tester, pretty wild, kind of old school looking here, but it totally works. So it's got a semi-ergonomic thing here. Let's see if I can do this so you guys can see it here. And then you can put a battery in there, and it fits a lot of different size batteries. It's telling me that one's good there. You probably can't see because of glare on the little window there. And then it does 9 volts on the side, so that's kind of neat. So they sell those to $3 or $4 or whatever, and then it'll work for smaller ones too. I think that'll go all the way up to a D cell, so kind of neat. Just put that in your battery drawer, right? And if you got a couple of batteries you're not sure about, you can check them. Pretty neat, huh? Okay. These, I've been wanting a pair of these actually. So these are kind of like channel locks, right? Okay. But what these are for is they have these pads on them, and this kind of a grippy, soft rubber, fairly hard. And they're for taking off lens elements or delicate things that you want to, of large diameter that you want to grip, right? So a hockey puck doesn't qualify, but you get the idea, right? So now you can get a hold of something. A good example would be a filter on a camera lens or something like that that you want to kind of get a hold of. You can't do it by hand. You need a little more leverage, and boy, you sure don't want to mess it up, right? And now you can get a pretty good grip on it. So, and they're like a channel lock. They're kind of adjustable. So, all right. And these are just, they're formed sheet metal. Okay, and these have been punched out with a die. But all you clever CAD jockeys out there and your plasma cutters, so you guys, have the ability to create some very specialized tools by plasma cutting or laser cutting profiles like that and just putting them together. So they've laminated 2 sections together. Now, once again, we're studying design here, right? It's a sheet metal cut out. This inner one is folded over to create a gripping surface, right? And then they've just stacked them up as thick as they need them. So, and you got a big rivet in the middle, and, off you go. So anyway, those are cool. Thank you guys very much for those. Put our hockey puck back. Okay, this is it's basically a medical turkey baster. And, but what I use them for is with my rotohammer when I drill in concrete, right, to suck out the concrete dust out of the bottom of the hole. So they work good for that. So I throw them in with my Hilti and do that. And it's funny because try looking that up on the web and finding the Hilti. It's a little puffer thing, for puffing the concrete dust out. Try looking that up on the web. I tried, and it was kind of tricky to find on the web. But there's one, and you can suck up oil or liquids or whatever you want to do with that, and it's kind of a handy thing. This is kind of a nice one here. It's got a volumetric thing on it. Okay. Okay, this is freaking scary here. So hopefully you can read that. It says drill, twist, bone, 5/8 inch diameter. By XXX length, blah, 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 right? So this is for surgery, guys. So this is the kind of tools the docs have in your, in the operating room. And this is made by Mueller, which is a German company that's very prominent in the medical industry. But look at that thing. So they're coming at you with your femur or your hip replacement or whatever, and they have things that look like DeWalt or Makita cordless drills in the operating theater. They plug these in and they drill in there, and now my guess is these are single-use items and they throw them away. It's even got the standard machine shop heat shrinked protective coating on it that I'm not going to take off. But pretty frightening that they're coming at you in the operating room with something like that. So I'm saving that. That's pretty cool and frightening, and all at the same time. All right. Okay, this last thing here. This is what I call, when people say machinists do jigs and fixtures, right? In the olden days, this would be a drilling fixture here, okay? So, I don't know what kind of part fit in here, but this has some indexing things for locating the part, and actually this is damaged slightly, for clamping it. And then this closes, and then it has a hardened drill bushing that you would poke a drill through there. So you're clamping, boom, drill, pop, this thing comes out, yada, 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 off you go, right? So let's talk about that for a second, because, there's a lot of CNC guys out there. And so think about this thing for a second. And this is set up on your drill press or whatever, and you have an operator that's got a bin of these. I guess I would challenge a CNC machine to beat this thing, and here's why. Okay, because we're standing right there. We don't have to wait for the machine to retract and safe out so that we can open the enclosure doors, and then do the same thing, swap the part like this is happening, close the doors, push cycle start. The machine comes down, even though it may be completely rapid, super fast, and come down and drill the hole very, very quickly, right? I believe the cycle time on a CNC would be longer than this, okay? Because here we can do this, beep, drill, beep, drill, beep, drill, okay? Now, some of you might say, I know what you're thinking, you're screaming at the screen going, oh, well, we could just stack up 50 parts in the machine. Okay, well, you still have to take all those 50 parts out of whatever fixture you're putting them in, right? So that takes time too. So, when you're doing production type work, right, think about the total cycle time, right? It's not like this CNC operator can walk away from the machine and go do something else, right? The cycle on a CNC would be a few seconds, right? So he's going to be chained to that machine. So yeah, you still got an operator, right? So what's your advantage there? Well, now you're tying up your $500,000 machine drilling a stupid little plate, right, with one hole. And, this would be a typical job. Or some rework where they missed a hole or they needed to add a hole because of a design change or something like that. That's total job shop work. So don't forget the old school stuff, I guess is what I'm saying. And this is the classic drill jig here. It's got a hardened bushing. Your location's going to be like, you know what? Your true position might even be better with this one. It might be more consistent because as the tool dulls, it drifts on the part, right? This is guided. It can't go anywhere else. So anyway, I think that's about it for this lot. And thanks to the guys at Ordnance Unlimited for sending me a cool package of some really neat stuff. Okay, so this big lot comes to us from John Geis, and he is a teacher at the Morrisville State College. That's in New York. And you guys may remember that I had a Starrett cylinder gauge, a metric cylinder gauge, that I repaired and donated to their metrology program. They have an engineering metrology program there. So I've known John for a little while now, and we email back and forth. Well, he bought some lots out of some machine shop tool cribs, and he loaded up a box and sent it to Beverly. Beverly, it's like the Beverly Hillbillies, right? And anyway, so this is what showed up. Well, I'm not going to go through every single piece here. We're going to pull out some of the more interesting things. But John, thank you very much. This is a cool lot, and we'll distribute it around to folks that can make use of some of these things. We got some big reamers here, some drills of different flavors, and then there's a couple of kind of interesting bits here that we'll talk about. So I don't know, where do we start here? So, like I said, I'm only going to do a couple things. So let's go here. So this is kind of neat. I like this. This is a taper shank drill removal drift. Okay, and it's made by Collis. But what I thought was interesting about this is it's got a do-all inventory tag on it. So now do-all used to have some like little showrooms that you could go into, and they sold tools out of there. So that's my guess is what the situation on this is. This is unused. It's brand new. It's a big bugger too. So anyway, I just thought that one was kind of cool. This is the second package of there it is, of these that I've gotten. Greg Halligan, and if you guys follow his channel, here's a little link to Greg's channel over here. He sent me some of these too, so these must be going around. These are these 3-flute carbide drills here. Now these appear to be used, but they still kind of cut. I tried one of them, and anyway, they're kind of neat 3-flute drills. They drill nice round holes. That's one of their claims to fame. And these are Guring, which is these are 4mm drills. Yeah, Guring drill. Those are kind of neat. You may be familiar with these. I always have called these fast pins. They got a little button here on the end that retracts these balls. Typically these are hardened and they're very, very strong. So if you use these to put an assembly together in double shear, these are incredibly strong. You see this in aircraft and fixtures and things like that. So anyway, those are kind of neat. Metric eye bolt and some metric taps, and then that's a spotting drill. Let's look at this here. So, I get a lot of questions about my bench stones here. There's one of them, and this is along those lines here. This is a Norton aluminum oxide stone. It's a slip stone here. This is kind of a nice configuration because you can get into chip breakers and things like that and hone those, and then larger radii. But also you can do flat surfaces too. So these, this is a good size here. What is this? This is 4.5 inches by 1 3/4 by 1/4 by 1/16. The 1/16 being that thin edge, and this has a full radius on it. So these are kind of nice. You can get in there and into a little area like that and hone. Okay, so this one's brand new. This is a fine, which is about 320 grit, I think, is the fine approximately. I don't think it says. Yeah, it doesn't really say. Anyway, that's a Norton, and that's the total old school box there. And a lot of people call these red ones India oil stones. So and hence from the name on the box. So that's kind of neat. All right, and then these are cool. This is a little extractor set here. Looks unused, and oops, get a drill wedged in there. It looks like a full set here, and these are these little tapered spiral jobs. I don't think I've ever tried this type, but I will. Maybe we'll test these out on something and see how they behave. Looks pretty good. It's got a nice big hex on it to get a purchase on that. So I don't see why they wouldn't work for certain kinds of jobs. With removing screws and stuff, there's just a bag of tricks, and extractors are just one part of that. So sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, and so you need to have kind of a full toolkit when you're you're taking out or doing the getter outs like Bruce. Okay. And you know what? While we're on the subject, Bruce Whitham, he's down in Australia, and he is a premier getter outer. So, in fact, a large part of his business is doing broken screw extractions and thread repairs. So here's a little link to Bruce's channel. Go check him out. Throw him a sub if you like what he's doing over there. And watch some of his getter out things. You can learn a ton. He's got a very nice, tidy shop, compact but very efficient. So check them out and throw them some comments. These are, this is kind of cool. Let's look at the big one here. They're both just kind of the same. These, what these are, they're kind of countersink attachments, but they fit around a tap. And unfortunately, I don't have a 2-flute tap that this would go on, but basically these cutting edges would slip over the flutes, the reliefs, okay, and then you would lock these down. So also, I think you can use these on drills too, but let's see, what does it say? This one says 3/4 tap. So I think this is set up for a tap here. So I think they got them both ways. They go around a drill and they catch the flute. So you can position them so that when you tap, this goes down and actually chamfers the top edge of the hole, and it's got a little spring and a little collar here, right, to so you can over travel a little bit, and it doesn't overcut. So that's kind of how those work. So those are kind of neat. You'd see that more in a kind of a production thing where you're you know, you're doing some power tapping on a production job or whatever, something like that. So those are kind of cool. And there's a couple of those. So John, thank you very much for this nice lot of stuff. This is some pretty cool stuff. And oops, let's put those back where they belong. You know, I'm going to probably take this down to the Stan Summer Bash, and you know, and we'll do some horse trading down there and see what happens. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Okay. So speaking of James Lee, he's a clockmaker and repairman in Maine, and he sent me this hammer here. And James and I have been talking back and forth on email for, I don't know, over a year actually. And you know, he wanted to start a YouTube channel, and he asked me about cameras and editing software and stuff like that. So I gave him, you know, told him some of the stuff that I was doing. And anyway, he's got his own channel, and he set it up. And I gave you a link earlier, and well, here's another link to James's channel. Okay, go check him out. He just did a video on cutting a fusee, which is this radiused curvature winding drum, basically, that has a thread on it. So it has a thread on a curvature, which is pretty neat. And he shows his little fixture he uses for threading that. It's kind of an interesting video. So anyway, James, the other thing he does, I guess he does some castings, and he thought I needed a, quote, claw hammer. He says, now you have a real Maine claw hammer. So it's a lobster claw. And you know, this one won't be pulling any nails, so don't worry about that. But it's cool, you know, it's very nicely made, and as you would expect from a clockmaker. So James, thank you very much. This is great. This is certainly a wall hanger here. This is pretty awesome. And thank you very much for sending that, and good luck with your YouTube channel. And guys, go check him out. He's doing some neat stuff over there. All right, so this next one comes to us from Jeremy Kohler, and he's in Heber City, Utah. And he sent me a couple of items here, which are kind of neat. We'll talk about that second. This thing, he starts out his letter, this is great. He says, I'm not a machinist, so don't pick this apart too much. Well, there's not much to pick apart, Jeremy. This thing's actually quite spectacular. It's nice. So this is Jeremy's copy of one of these Eagle 66 oil cans. And he's just done a very beautiful job on this. It's quite nice. Threaded, you know, nice threads, nice knurling, nice polish, everything's great. It works fine. I almost don't want to put oil in it. I think I want to put some kind of single malt in here so that I can dispense as required. So Jeremy, thank you very much. That's just absolutely great. That's going to sit on the shelf and just sit up there and look beautiful. So that's great. I don't know. I can't say enough nice about it. So it's wonderful. So yeah, it's just got some heft to it too. So it's lovely. So let's look at this knife here, because one of Jeremy's other hobbies is he likes to sharpen things, and I'll tell you what, he's pretty good at it. So he sent me this little Kershaw knife. And apparently, I guess he buys these by the dozen or something, and because he uses them every day. And if you use a knife a lot in your work, and you sharpen them regularly, they wear out. They get thinner, and you get up into a thick part of the blade, and so you just get another one. This one's got a kind of a spring assist, but look at that edge. And I'm gonna just rotate it a little bit, so hopefully you guys can see the reflection off of that. Okay. He's done a really nice job sharpening this thing, and I think he said this is 3,000 grit, a 3,000 grit finish. Okay, and it's as you can see, it's pretty damn sharp. So okay, all the way out to the tip. It's lovely. And so what is this? This is a Ken Onion. Well, all the Kershaws say Ken Onion on them pretty much. So it's great. I happen to like Kershaw knives. Their price point is I would call extremely fair, and for the quality of knife that you get. So I'm not sure where they're made. What's this? It says USA. So I don't know. This knife new is probably less than $30, or maybe not. I don't know. I didn't look it up. But they're a good quality knife. They come very sharp, but Jeremy's gone the next step up. So anyway, Jeremy, thank you very much. All machinists appreciate sharp tools. This is very sharp. I'll set it aside and use it for personal surgery. Okay. Anyway, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay, so this next one comes to us from a viewer named Bill near Chicago, and he used to work in an instrument shop for the prosthetics and orthotics lab near Chicago. And so he had some stuff left over in his toolbox that was just sitting around, and he said, "Hey, can I send it into the show?" And I said, "Absolutely, go ahead and send it in." And here's what showed up. So it's actually a little fold-up kit, and it had some. I kind of put it all together here, but it had places for some of these things, which is kind of neat. So what we have here is a lot of these are just dental instruments, but some of this stuff here is a what I would call a dissection kit here. So you've got some different flavors of tweezers. You've got a scalpel handle. Okay, this is it's a probe, but they use it to separate tissue and whatnot, and different flavors of tweezers. Anyway, this is great stuff for the shop. Tweezers are always handy. You guys see me using them all the time. And then this side over here, this is the handy side for broken tap and drill removal stuff. So dental instruments are kind of neat. They have actually sharp edges on them for scraping and whatnot. But what's neat about them is they're heat treated. So these are made. Actually, you know what? I'm not sure what they're made out of, but they're heat treated. There might be 420 stainless or 17.4 or something like that. They're pretty hard, so they're actually pretty strong, and so they work great. And they got all kinds of crazy shapes here. And for doing machine stuff, we don't care that the tips are broken off and whatnot. You can get in there and probe and pick out some little bits and pieces. So, one of the tricks for removing broken taps is you kind of shatter the tap in the hole, and then there'll be little fragments, and as you pick each one of these tiny little fragments out, the main part gets looser and looser and looser, and then you can actually pull it out. So that's kind of a technique there. So if you guys know a dentist or you see dental tools at the flea market or a garage sale or something like that, you know, pick them up, you know, they're kind of handy for this, you know, just general picks and picks and grabbers and stuff like that. Yeah, this is actually a high quality one here. And now this looks like it came out of an O-ring probe set here, that particular one. Same here. But it's just handy stuff. Anyway, Bill, thank you very much for sending that in. This is great. I have a lot of this, so I'm going to probably pass some of this along at the summer bash. I'll probably select a few little pieces out of here for my personal collection, and then we'll pass it on to folks that can use it down there. Okay? Anyway, thank you very much for sending it in. Appreciate it.